Kim.
Hello,
Hello.
hello. So Kiki and I are going to be talking about weaving spirituality and making marketing fun in your business today.
Yes.
Yes. Kiki, can you introduce yourself and tell everybody a little bit more about you and the things that you do?
Oh, absolutely. So I'm Kiki. I am a spiritual guide. Started out with Reiki. That was kind of the first doorway to the spiritual world in my awakening. Added sound healing and Akashic records, but I've also woven in marketing and sales into all of that to create something magical to help others.
Love. Okay, so you originally were not a marketing mentor, marketing coach. Is that right?
No, so I had a 9 to 5 that was in corporate that has always been sales. So outbound sales, cold calling, networking. That's where a lot of my experience came from. And I've realized it didn't necessarily translate either one to the digital world and two to spiritual type business.
Yeah. Okay. So you were more on the corporate scene, if you will, before you got into the spirituality.
Yes, the matrix or the cubicle environment, however you'd like to describe it, it's not for everybody. We did what we had to do, but it never felt like home, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. I'm right there with you. Same.
Yeah.
That's why I do what I do
Yes.
now. Okay. So before you got into being a spiritual marketing coach and a mentor, what were you doing before that once you got into spirituality? Like with your energy healing?
Before I got into
Yeah,
marketing.
before you got
Oh,
into helping you with marketing.
yes. Healing sessions, working with limiting beliefs, unlocking blockages, helping with worthiness, basically a lot of the things that I had gone through and helped myself self-heal to different levels. I was helping younger versions of myself and weave in sound wherever I can. I love playing my crystal singing bowls and love working with frequencies and vibrations. And yeah, I've met a lot of really cool people and still do that as
Mm-hmm.
well. And felt the pull on my soul to do more and help others in a different way using more of my skills and background.
Oh, Kate in here said that she just left the corporate world in December. So let's give
Yay! Congratulations!
That's so exciting. It's like a breath of fresh air.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay, so what is a reason that you feel like that you wanted to kind of switch gears and get into helping other business owners with marketing and specifically spiritual business owners? Like why the woo people?
They're my people. I love them.
Yeah.
It felt like home. But it's funny, it wasn't my original idea. You know, I was great. I was having a good time, but I found many of the women and people coming to me for help were spiritual business owners. And in a conversation, I started to see a lot of similarities. And we had talked about different things and was helping with their business as well. There's a lot of mind shifts that go along with it. And they're like, oh, you're really good at the marketing piece. Like, you have all this knowledge. Why don't you teach this? I was like, oh, okay. I put it on back burner. Thank you so much. And would go to the next one. And then like 3, 4 people, I'm like, okay, there's a pattern here. People are
Mhm.
asking me to do this. There's a need and they feel drawn. So I'm like, I need to listen to that. Otherwise, the universe is continually going to remind me this is where I need to be going.
I love that. It's kind of like if you just take those action steps and listen to your intuition, like your soul purpose, your soul mission will find you and it'll keep knocking at the door until you answer it, if you will.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I started out with social media management and I enjoyed it, but I didn't like love it. And I didn't feel like I was helping people. Like it was a band-aid, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
I'm happy to do it. It looked great. I was helping people, but they weren't getting the traction and it really wasn't in their voice or just something was missing from that piece.
Yeah. Can you tell everybody a little bit more about like what social media management is so that way when we talk deeper about the energetics of it, they're like, oh, that's the
Yeah.
difference. Okay.
So,
Okay.
basically I would meet, chat with them about their business and their offers, and we would develop a plan and I would create the graphics and the copy. They would, based on their voice and several writing samples they would provide me, they would approve it, I would schedule it. So it was basically taking a lot of the heavy lifting off their plate so they could just show up. Yes, I like this graphic. Can you make this change? Oh, can you tweak these words here? And it just was done and done. You know, they could focus on what they really wanted to do, which was serving their clients and spending that time with people. That's what we all got into the business to do,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And I am kind of like, there's a geeky Kiki where I could go down a rabbit hole in Canva and just have so much fun creating graphics. So doing it for others was really lighting me up.
Mm-hmm.
But I also wanted them to get results and feel successful and reach more people and make a bigger impact.
Absolutely. Okay. So, what do you think that social media management may have been missing for people?
Their soul, honestly, if I was doing a lot of the creation, it didn't have their energetic signature on it. And yes, they were approving it, and I was getting direction from graphics and things that they had created before, their brand colors. Like, they were providing me a lot, but it just lacked that energetic signature that was them.
Yeah,
I could help them.
it almost sounds like the messages that they wanted to share with their communities probably getting filtered down because it's coming also through your lens, and you're a completely different person with different understandings and different knowledge and different, understandings.
And energy is a big part of it too. If the attitude, and I'm not saying this across the board, but sometimes it might even be subconscious, it might not even be conscious. If you're like, I don't like it, I don't want to do it, that's why I'm hiring this person to do it, that's going to be on that whatever's created versus, oh, I'm excited, I have this new offer, I can help people, I'm going to light the world on fire. Like, that energy is felt and seen and heard with whatever is put out there.
I absolutely agree with that. When I am feeling very bogged down and heavy in my business and have the twinges of capitalism, like old paradigms and things, my content like comes across completely differently. It's almost like it's not me, if that makes sense. So I always have to kind of come back to my center, my homeostasis, and be like, why am I doing this again?
Yes.
How can I make this more magical? How can I make this sound more like me instead of making it sound like every other marketing plan?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and I had one client, and love her to death. She was very hands off. Like, she's like, I trust you, have fun with the graphics. She would look at it. Like, I think I had to edit 2 things in the whole like 3 or 4 months we worked together. But her attitude was, I trust the universe. What's meant for me is going to come to me. And that came through. Her stats went up, her engagement went up. Like, we really didn't change the number or type of posts at all in the entire time. But she was brand new account on Facebook, and she just created a new business account on Instagram. And she just like, she did the work. She did the inner work. She did the mental work, and it showed without having to do more. Because I think we get caught up in, at least for me, I'll talk about analytics and corporate. We were tracked with number of calls, number of outbound emails, like all of this activity. So do more to earn more. That's not the case. I'm doing less now.
Yeah, I'm trying to do less.
Yes.
And receive more.
Yes. Because we're in, and that's another reason I love working with spiritual entrepreneurs and healers and light workers, because we get paid to be who we are, not because of what we do.
Oh, yeah.
Right? People want to be around our energy. We have gifts, we have knowledge, we have life experiences we can share and help them. But we don't need to pound the pavement, send all those DMs. Like, there are a lot of things that I put in the bro tactic category. And I tried it. I took a lot of what I learned, and I did a lot of experimenting when I first launched my spiritual business. And it's cookie cutter, right? It doesn't feel right. People can sense that, like the copy and pasting and the messages. I was like, this isn't how I want to run my business. And that was a big light bulb moment for me too.
There were several times in my business, just for everybody that doesn't know, I have a coaching and an energy healing business where marketing was not my area of expertise. And, we can't be experts in everything. And sometimes it is really beneficial to hire people and help you. But there was a phase where I said, okay, I need to understand my own marketing so that I can understand the type of messaging that I'm trying to give to people and how I help people. Like, there's a level of, I need to understand what I'm doing and how I'm serving people and like the results that I can get them. And one of the ways that I did that was kind of going through the processes that you did of how can I understand the energetics underneath all of this marketing. Yeah.
Yes. And also, who is it calling in? Like, it's really the story you're telling, the words you're using. Like, it's called spelling for a reason because you're casting spells with words, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I noticed when I changed the narrative and I started more on this storytelling, I was drawing in way more of my people, like the one that loved fairies and unicorns and glitter and coloring. And I was like, there's something to this. This is great. I went from having all of these people in my DMs and feeling like I had to convince them and constantly talk about and justify my services or prices to people were like, and when can I see you again? And you should do this. And can you create this product? And why don't you do this? And I was like, oh, I have to share this with as many people as possible. Like, it doesn't have to be hard. And I think we think that too.
Yeah, I love those points that you made. So when I was learning about marketing, it was like, oh, it has to be very professional. It has to be A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And like, I wasn't getting the clients. Like, it wasn't working. Everybody was like, oh, well, it works for me. And I'm like, okay, well, obviously I'm broken or something. Something's wrong with me, right? And then I realized, no, I just need to put my own flavor on it. Like, that's not going to work, especially when you're in like the woo, in the spiritual realms. People can feel like your authenticity and what's in resonance with them, right? They want the true version of you. And just like you, I love unicorns and rainbows and fairies, and I interweave that into my marketing. And then all of a sudden it started taking off because I wasn't trying to copy and paste marketing.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, templates are great and I use them for certain things like appointment confirmations where it fills in like more logistical things, but not
Yeah.
for marketing. It's great to get you up and running and that way because you need data in the beginning, right? So it's just this huge experiment. And when I looked at it like a science experiment, I started to practice this detachment because I was making it mean so much. Like you mentioned earlier, oh, they don't like me or they don't like the prices,
Mm-hmm.
or I had this whole narrative in my head on why they weren't buying from me. I don't know them. They're a stranger on the internet to me right now,
Mm-hmm.
right? So was I projecting on them? Like all of these things that I was learning throughout this process. And it's multi-layered. It's not just one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's doable and people can learn it. And people don't have my sales and marketing background, but that doesn't mean they can't show up and authentically sell in a way that feels good to them.
Oh, absolutely. You can provide them with the framework, but they still have to do the work.
Right.
Right?
Yes. I mean,
Yeah.
I make it simple, but there's still work involved.
Yes. One of the reasons that I was really stuck in my business and not getting the clientele that I wanted is because of that proving energy, because I didn't understand what I was saying to people or like the results that I was going to get them. And so those frameworks that you're talking about were really beneficial, but like you have to figure out why you're doing things.
Yes.
How is it?
I,
What are the words that I'm using? Like you said, who
and
is
I,
it attracting?
yeah, like if you think about one thing, if I can give you one tip off this call, purpose. Before you post, what is your purpose? What people will it serve? And how will you profit? And I don't mean
Mm-hmm.
that in a monetary, maybe you were looking to grow your audience, so you're looking for more
Mm-hmm.
followers. Maybe you're looking to nurture, so you want more DMs, you want your DMs blowing up. And then maybe it is a sales phase for you and you're looking to convert and create raving fans that are going to refer their friends. Nothing is wrong with any of that.
Mm-hmm.
You're worthy of all of your desires. So before you throw something up there, because I was in a spin art phase, I will tell you, and it was not successful. And I was like, oh crap, it's like 2 in the afternoon. I haven't posted. Let me
What's
just throw
the
something up there.
what's the spin art phase?
Or I'm just going to throw something up and hope it sticks.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Or it's like, it's 2 o'clock
Same.
and I haven't posted today. What can I talk about? And it had it had no plan. It had no purpose. It was just for me to post, to be seen, to keep myself relevant, right? I had this FOMO, like if I didn't post, my people are going to forget about me. And that wasn't good energy for me to have around it. And I found that when I have a plan, and it's a loose plan, like what I want to talk about on certain days, but not necessarily nailed down, and it's fluid, it changes. But then I was able to repeat it because I had a process. And I was like, oh, I know what to post. And then I started to batch content. Well, I know what to do for the week. So let me record or take pictures or write it all. I like to do things in chunked time. That works really well for me.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to write all at once instead of like graphic, write, hashtag, post is too much. And your mind is using more
energy
to switch through those different files. So,
Oh, absolutely. One of the best pieces of advice that I have ever heard that I've implemented in my business is do not create videos the same days you edit. It takes you out of
amen.
your creativity and your imagination, and now you're in logical and analytical land and worrying about analytics and profits and blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
So,
Two different parts of your brain,
yeah.
right? You want to stay in the fun zone, and then you can go to edit another time. And there are times where I don't use or edit things until a week or a month later. Like I just pulled up pictures and videos that I recorded in November, and I was like, why didn't I post these? It wasn't the right time, and it didn't go with that plan, but now I have content.
Yeah. Oh yeah, setting yourself up for success for future you.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, since we're talking about structures and frameworks and how to make it a lot easier on yourself, Kiki has just launched her own program, Storytelling Magic. Can you tell us what that program is to help you learn?
Yes. So you got a sneak peek of it, and it is an 8-week course that I am building as I go that goes deeper into all of these layers. We talk about the energetics of marketing. I share my content creation ceremony that really helps me tap in and channel. We go over your customer journey. Do you have a journey? Are you taking your customers through a series of experiences and giving them all of the opportunities and invitations to work with you? Do you have a target audience? Do you know who you're speaking to? And I stay away from niche. That never felt good because I always felt like I was putting myself and my clients in a box. So I use the term soul aligned client because soul to soul, we're meant to work together.
Love.
Yeah.
Love that.
And then I weave it, there's mindset, there's energetics. I do go over marketing and sales strategies. So you will walk away with a strategy that feels good to you. It's going to be a combination of live coaching and videos, of lifetime access to the videos, because we're going to be together for 8 weeks. That's the learning and experimenting phase, but it's probably going to take another 3 to 6 months as you implement and tweak and refine. So I want you to have lifetime access to those videos that you can go back to at any time.
So you're really teaching people how to sell on socials, but through a spiritual lens, and that feels good.
Yes, yes. Authentically aligned a way that just feels good. And I definitely lean more towards the feminine flow and feminine embody it when I talk about energy. And at the end of the day, it's you and your business. So these are things that have worked for me, things that have worked for my clients, and everything's all in one place. I couldn't find a program that had what I wanted and needed at the same time. So I found marketing courses, I found sales courses, I found some that had them combined because they are two different things, and I go over that more in the course, but they were lacking this energetic piece. They were lacking, like you said, the spiritual lens is a perfect way to describe it, because the other ways of selling and marketing just didn't feel right. Mm-hmm. And I had already experimented on my own with what I learned from corporate, and I was the rule breaker even there. They were like, we need you to make 100 calls a day. And I was like, why? They're like, oh, because if you make 100, you'll connect with 2 people. Well, what if I can make less calls and connect with more people? Well, good luck. And then I did, because it was my messaging. Yeah. So I was like, well, let's peel back the layers. What am I doing that my colleagues aren't doing? And I just didn't have the energy or the patience to smile and dial and get hung up on and leave voicemails. I'm like, this doesn't make sense.
I have never been one to utilize those tactics either, of like cold calling and DMing and reaching out to people. How can I get more clear on my messaging and who it is that I'm trying to call in and what results that I can get them, and how can I convey that through like storytelling, like you're saying as well.
Yes. Yeah. And one of the things that I wanted to do was make it super easy. So I created the 7 chapters of storytelling. Mm-hmm. I shouldn't say I created them. They're in circulation and they're called different things by different people, but I made them fun and easy, and you're talking about your business every day, but in a subtle way without selling. It's really fun and freeing and easy, because you might be highlighting a client win or a testimonial, or even sharing more vulnerable about you. This is one area that like you said, professional, buttoned up, we got to show the best pieces. So the hardest thing for me was to be vulnerable and share my mistakes and where I sucked, where I failed, what I learned from. I was like,
Yeah.
just embrace the suck, Kiki. It's going to be great. And it was. It was like, I joke around like, was it The Hangover? It's like, but did you die? No, I didn't die. I was fine.
Yeah.
You know, we catastrophize it in our head and we make it this big, scary thing. And then when we do it, we're like, oh, that wasn't that bad at all.
I do feel like that. I was super intimidated by marketing, but marketing is crucial. Like you have to sell what you're doing, right?
Yes.
But if you're not taught those things, if you don't have a background, it's like, well, how the heck do I do that? And it doesn't feel authentic or good to be like, buy from me.
Well,
right?
yeah. And
Right?
like all the movies, like if you think about like all the aggressive, like the stock market or like the used car salesman,
Yeah.
it's in our society that selling is evil, selling is bad, or like people with a lot of money are evil. It's like, no, money is just energy. It's what the people already have inside that it brings out, right? And
Absolutely.
yeah.
I feel like a long time of me learning the things that you're teaching others was I was having to convince people right through those like bro marketing sales tactics, but also because I was working on my own confidence and
Mm-hmm.
self concept,
Yeah.
right? But now I'm at a place where I don't do like clarity calls, discovery calls. Like everybody is just attracted to me
Yep.
because I'm very clear on who it is that I'm calling in and the way that I market and those subtle ways of selling where it's not so in your face. And it feels really good to me to just show up authentically as myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, me crying in my car, talking about all the things that I'm failing at in life and how can I pivot and how can I change and how can I improve and all these things. But like you said, like that's showing up as a leader, even through your quote unquote failures. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. And that attracts people
Yes.
to you. Yeah.
And I will say, it was a hard lesson for me to learn to sell myself and my
Yeah.
services. I could sell products, I could sell services, I could sell everyone else, I could write copy for those sales pages. There was this block that I had to work through, this resistance, this worthiness of, yes, Kiki, you have amazing skills the world needs. Like, why are you not putting yourself out
Mm-hmm.
there? People need this. And been getting nudges from the universe and then from clients and from people like you in my circle, like, you got this, you can do this.
Mm-hmm.
And even developing the framework and the outline for this program, I kept walking away. And then all of a sudden, there was a shift. And I had this huge download. It was originally going to be like a 5 or 6 week course. And you were like, it needs to be longer. And I'm glad you said that because I was like, oh, well, people hang out with me for that long. And you're like, they're going to hang out with you for that long and they're probably going to want more.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And so, I mean, I'm not immune to these things. And as I'm working through week by week, new levels are coming up for me, right? Like that imposter syndrome, that fear and doubt. So I'm going through it so that I can teach from a place of I've gone through it and I've gone through it again recently in developing this course.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's what makes you a really good leader because you can still be vulnerable and be like, hey, I'm figuring these things out too. I'm a couple steps ahead of you or several steps ahead of you. So I'll help you get to where I'm at. And in
yeah,
that process, I'll move to the next level and then take us all to the next level.
this is the first sales page I think I made in like 20 minutes where others have taken me days or weeks. And I've overanalyzed and made every excuse under the sun why it wasn't going to work. Nobody's going to want to buy it. And here everything just fell out of my brain onto paper. And I was just like, okay,
Yeah.
this is where I'm supposed to be. This is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah. I love that your processes that you're going through is exactly how you're teaching people how to push forward and push ahead and do the things that they love.
Yes.
Speaking of, okay, so energetics of marketing. Why are the energetics important with your marketing? And what does that even mean?
So energetics, how I define it, what I believe it to be, is your energetic state when you are creating any content. It can be video, it could be writing, it could be an email, newsletter, website, whatever it is that is going to connect you with a client, your energy matters. So I have found myself in this position, like you might be in a desperate place, like, oh, bills are due, or I haven't had clients, or maybe there were 2 or 3 weeks that were slow in December because it's holidays and people are doing different things or traveling. If you're in that scarcity, needy energy, that can be felt regardless of how awesome your graphic and your copy is. The energy that surrounds it can repel or attract your people.
That is so true. I can look through my TikTok, like scroll back, or my Instagram, and I can clearly see when I was in abundant and prosperous energy in a video and when I was in lack and scarcity and like limiting beliefs. Like it's very clear contrast from one another.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's so true. And like I week by week, post by post, there are days where I'm just like, I'm not even going to post today. I'm not going to show up. I'm going to do things like I go outside for a walk. I do grounding things. I play my sound bowls. Like there are certain things that I do, meditation, journaling. Like we all have our toolbox,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes I pull all the tools out, and sometimes I only need
Yeah.
just one or two. But if I do all those things and it's not shifting, that's not time for me to
Yeah.
post. Maybe I need to take a nap. Maybe I need to do something fun. Like I stopped and I colored the other day and made me so happy. You know, we do talk about inner children and having fun with them and bringing them to the content creation party as well, and like letting them out to play.
I love that. When I get stuck in my business and I'm very much in the 3D paradigm and seeping into capitalistic, like old ways, right? And is very structured. I ask my inner children, how can I make this more fun? How can I
Yes.
make this more whimsical? Y'all tell me what I need. I want advice from y'all. And that usually gets me straight.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that will attract people, that
Yeah.
fun, whimsical, magical energy. Believe it or not, people want more of that in
Oh,
their
yeah.
life. They want to laugh. They want to giggle. They want to bring their inner children out to play. And if you help bring that out in them, they're going to want to be around you in that energy more.
I think that's one of the things that makes you such a great leader is because you stand so strong in your magic and just having fun and being joyful and creative and making marketing like super fun, right? Then that gives other business owners the permission to do that too. Because there's so many of us that are taught, no, it needs to look a certain way. Like, no, who said that has to be that way? Like,
Exactly.
yeah, right?
No, well, thank you for
Yeah,
very much. That's very
yeah.
positive feedback. And yes, I do believe it can be fun. If it's not fun, why do it? I mean, I say that with my workouts and with life. And yes, we have to do hard things and there's the adulting stuff, but you can still like dance while you're folding laundry, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you can still make things fun and it doesn't take extra effort or energy. And it raises your vibration
Oh, yeah.
and it's a ripple effect with every single person in your life.
I think a great piece of advice that I've heard from you before is asking yourself, how do I want somebody to feel watching my content,
Yes.
experiencing my marketing? Do they want to feel safe? Do they want to feel expanded? Do they want to feel like it's possible for them to?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
that
totally
is.
is. And that is my big mission. I have talked with people that are ready to give up. And I'm just like, I want to reach through the screen and hug them because the gifts are so powerful and the world needs their medicine. And if this is the only piece preventing them, like, let me give that to them. Let me teach that so that they can have it for life. You know, there's the old parable, like if you give a man a fish, he'll eat once, but if you teach him to fish, he
Yeah.
can eat for the rest of his life. That's the goal and intention behind this program. Like you will have these skills for life. Like you're investing in yourself, your future you, your future business, and you get to make the impact and profits you deserve. Like money's not evil. You deserve more of it. And like you've told me many times, and I love when you say this, like we're the people that when we get more money, we are constantly putting it back in to the collective and we are leveling up and investing in ourselves, more gifts, and making the world a better place.
Oh, yeah. The more money that I receive, I'm like, okay, how can I improve my skills for more people?
Yes.
Right? Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Okay, since we're talking about fun things, okay, so you have a content creation ceremony that you do to create your content. I would love for you to talk about that so people have like a tangible exercise to take with them. And it's something that you teach inside the program as
Yes.
well. But if you could give us like a sneak peek of what that is in
Yes.
your 3S framework.
Yeah.
Yes.
So 3S, smudge, sound, and silence. So I smudge my space every day before I do
And can you
anything.
tell
And that includes,
people what smudge means, just in case this
oh,
is
yes,
hearing that? Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. So
Okay.
I'm drawn to sage and Palo Santo, and it is using the smoke. It is deeply rooted in indigenous practices, and you are basically blessing your surroundings. If you fast forward into our day-to-day life now, we are in much more tight-knit structured homes. There's not a lot of air blowing through. So a lot in the old days, they would have tents and huts, and it was just naturally cleansed by the elements. Not the case now, right? We've got closed windows, closed doors, and it's winter. So I love, yes, incense too, whatever you're intuitively drawn to. I have cats and I'm not drawn to incense, so it's usually the sage and Palo Santo for me. But I do all four corners of the room. I do all of my electronics that I'm going to use. So whatever I'm going to use, my ring light, my phone, my laptop, if I'm handwriting anything, pens, books, all of it. And I am disconnecting it from any previous energy, cleansing it, and setting my intention for what I'm going to use it for that day. And then I move on to sound. So for me, I'm a sound healer. I have my crystal singing bowls, gongs, and other instruments. I play them every morning. Sometimes it's 5 minutes, sometimes it's 15 or 20 minutes. You can do this at home. You can use YouTube, look up 432 hertz, abundance frequencies, whatever you're led to. And yeah, high vibe, high frequency. So I use that to ground me and kind of set the tone. And then I sit in silence and I set my intention. What do my people need from me today? What do they need to hear? What can I share with them that'll take them one step closer to where they want to be? What do they need to see? And then I just let things drop in. Sometimes I'll get flashes of color. Sometimes I'll get words or images. Sometimes I'll get a sense or a feeling or a knowing of a topic or something that I need to share or record. And I use the same channeling process for my clients as well. And that, huge game changer. When I do that, batching, I need to like turn off the tap because I'm like, okay, I'm good. I have enough ideas. I'm good. Like, let me catch up. I opened my notes app and I have like, I don't know, 25 pages of content I have not used yet that is dropped in over different times. 3 journals. I've been typing those up so I could quickly search on them. So we're working on more organization, but that's my 3S method that, or framework that I go into and share in the course. And we go over a little deeper on things and how to create your space, making that fun. But all those things matter. A firm believer, have very strong feelings about that.
No, I love that. So I think there's so many filter lenses that we can get caught up in of like our own limiting beliefs, or worried about money, worried about how many followers we're going to get from this, or likes and all of these things. But if you are going to do the system that you say and kind of sit in silence and access those higher states of consciousness and higher states of yourself, and then ask kind of the universe, what does my collective need to hear? Now you're not just coming from yourself, you're coming from like source and higher levels of consciousness and like the collective energies. It becomes a whole different process. You're healing through your content. It's not just, oh, hey, here's some tips and tricks. Like, no, we're actually changing people's lives like through this content, but you have to get past those filter lenses.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's such a good point. Every time I have focused on what my people need, all the other fears and doubts shift away. They just fade away, like they didn't even exist. And self-healing is a good part. Like sometimes I write a post and it might be for my inner child, but it's also for someone else's inner child. And the power of one is so important. I, for such a long time, was like, hey all, hey Instagram fam, hey Facebook fam, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I was speaking to everybody. So I was being heard by no one.
Yeah.
And then when I got more specific and started talking to one person and even visualizing a specific person, which a lot of times was a previous version or a younger version of me, like how can I help them go from where I was to where I am in a shorter amount of time and avoid as much pain as possible. Right?
Oh, I love that. It was a huge shift in my marketing as well, where I'm just talking to one person. I'm trying to reach one soul through the phone and connect with them on a very deep resonance level. And that took so much pressure off as well. It's like, no, I'm not trying to reach 10,000 people. I'm trying to reach one and then pull them into my world and then help them make transformations in their life, and just do that one at a time.
Yes.
So much more effective that way. And usually, like you said, it turns out to be a younger version of you. because you have the tools and resources to help a younger version of you.
Yes.
Yeah.
1000%. A lot of the people that I've been drawing in lately are new. They're in that startup or that 1 to 3 years of business.
Mm-hmm.
And as entrepreneurs, it can be lonely. And one of the reasons I created my Facebook group, like I wanted a free community, no promos, just to connect, to support, find a collaboration buddy, an accountability buddy. Like, let's keep it high vibe. And I share tips on branding and marketing and how to stay in your flow and how to message and sales and things that you just, that don't come with the traditional packages, right? I'll use my when I went for my Reiki cert, it was amazing, but it was 100% focused on Reiki, right? The attunements and how to provide a safe environment, protection, all of the things, but not how to start and build your Reiki business, right?
Yeah. Just the energy of Reiki itself and like how
practice
to apply that, but not the actual, how do I implement this into my business?
Right. And I would say across the board, like Akashic Records and sound healing, every single modality was phenomenal, very well done, but focused on the practice, not the business and building of it.
Yeah.
So I'm actually thinking, and even with my Reiki trainings, of adding a little bit of a marketing and sales package. Like, okay, now you did this. For those that want it and aren't already established, but here are some things I've learned. And I just did one on like how to set up Calendly. Like, don't worry about a website. Like, I wish one thing I would tell my younger self, do not waste time, money, energy, effort on a website.
Yeah.
I've done 3 different ones. I haven't touched mine in 6 months. I've been 100% running my business from Calendly and intentional conversations in direct DMs. It's been beautiful. And it's yes, do I wish it was updated and people could go to one place? Maybe. But are those my people?
Yeah, well, that's a testament to energy too. Like, same for me. Like, I didn't have a website forever. I ran off of Acuity, and I just got really clear on my messaging and what I can help people with and help them transform. And I didn't have a problem getting clients. It had nothing to do with website and where I was posting. Like, it's having to do with what's going on in here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of pulling people into your world, first, where can people join your Facebook group to become a part of your community, your free community, where everybody can hype each other up and have that good energy and learn some really good tools for their business?
Yes, I have the info in my profile. So I'm Kiki Tyler on Instagram and on Facebook, and it's called Spiritually Social Marketing Club.
Spiritually Social Marketing Club. Yes. Okay. And you have links in your profiles, right? On your perfect. So it'll be really easy. Okay. Also, so speaking of pulling people into our world, can you briefly explain what a sales funnel is? Because when I first heard that, when I started my business, I was like, oh, this seems very complicated. It seems very overwhelming. And why do I even need this in the first place?
All right. So did you ever go to the beach as a kid and you had like the funnel and you're making sand castles and you wanted to make it? So like, picture that beautiful, fun funnel in whatever color that makes your heart happy.
Mine will be purple.
Yeah. So the top is really big, right? It's the widest part. Yeah. So that's where we want to bring as many people into our world as possible, right? They're like, okay, this is their first experience. Maybe it's from watching a live like this or a friend referred them. They can come into your world in many different ways. And then maybe they take one of your classes. Like if you offer master classes, offers. So now the funnel is getting smaller because not everybody who joined is going to go to that level, right? And then as the funnel narrows, you're going to have your higher ticket and your longer programs. They're spending more money to get more of you and to get more of your time and energy. And again, not everybody that joins in the top makes it down to the sandcastle where the big party is. So they get different pieces of you. And there's no timeline. It's not like, oh, if they start here, they're going to end up here by this time, 3 months, and then 6 months and 9 months. It's going to be all over the place. You can drive yourself crazy trying to figure out the strategies. I know, because I tried to do it. But if you set your energy and intention, the people who want to work with me and are meant to work with me will make their way down through my funnel in a pace that feels good to them. I have had people who have been in my world for 3 years who jumped right from the top to the bottom of the funnel and bought my high ticket. I have people who have not been in my world but a minute and have jumped to the middle. I've had people that have not engaged. I didn't even know they were in my community. They haven't liked anything or commented. They're looky-loos, right? They're the fly on the wall. They're always watching. So I stay away from metrics and likes and shares and all of that. It doesn't necessarily mean you're doing well or poor. It's your bank account says that, right? I mean, that's the old
people on Instagram, they're selling the heck out of like high ticket programs with like 500 followers.
Yes.
It doesn't have it just because you have 1 million followers does not mean that those 1 million followers convert.
Correct.
Okay. Right.
Correct. Yes. And that's an example that I think I have in the program, because I have one client who's got under 400 crushing it. And then I have another client who's like over 6,000, wants to be closer to 10,000, has like a few people she follows are there, and she feels like she's not crushing it, but she is. So it's our perception of what we deem is a successful measure of our business.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's for you to decide, right? Like, this is what I'm sharing is what I believe for my business. Take what feels good, leave the rest.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Can you give an example of kind of like what your sales funnel looks like in your business, like the flow of how people like come into your world, and then in like the last phase that they jump into, just so people can have like a tangible of like, oh, this is something that I need to set up in my business?
Yes. So I love giving value, and I love giving people teasers. You know, I grew up going to the beach, and we'd go to the boardwalk, and so fudge store. My brother and I would always run by because they would give the little teeny tiny samples of fudge. Well,
okay.
You get hooked. You want to go in and you walk out with 5 pounds, right?
Yeah.
So I love that. And food, everybody loves food. So I have a mini sound bath. I have, what did I have? I have the chakra power alignment. So I have a couple freebies and I rotate through them. Oh, I did my hashtag mini course. It's a free mini course on how to use hashtags and as a superpower. And I also,
and you can find all of these in her profile links.
Yeah. And then the other one is the client attraction frequency. So how can you get your frequency to match that of your client before you create content? So those are the sound bath, the hashtag freebie, and the meditation. So those are all my mainstays. So depending on what you're drawn to, you start there. So you give me an email.
So that's the top of your funnel.
That's the top of my funnel. So you give me an email, you get the gift. That then puts you into a series of 4 welcome emails. Because I want to pull back the curtain a little bit. Who am I? What do I do? How can I help you? And some people stick around. Some people unsubscribe. They just wanted the freebie. That's going to happen. Doesn't matter. If they're meant for me, they'll stay. And from there, then they're on my email list. So they get weekly emails. They get invited to the Facebook group. And then they're aware of the different ways to work with me. So maybe they want or need social media management. Maybe they want or need coaching. Maybe they want to add a certification. So I have Celtic Reiki that I've been promoting in my email off and on, and then storytelling magic. And that varies based on what I have going on each month as far as what I'm promoting and focused on. But that's kind of the funnel of how to get them into my world in a way that feels good to me and hugs them in. Because that's what I wanted. I didn't want to feel, I don't like to show up and throw up. Which is where people connect with you and then it's buy my thing, here's my thing, here's my thing, here's my, that feels so spammy to me personally. So that is not something I do in my business. It's not wrong. That feels good to you, do it. If you're super excited and that is something that you're just like, this has worked. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it doesn't feel good for me.
Yeah, so the way that you do it is more easing people into your world without pressuring them, but at the same time saying like, hey, these are all the different available options depending on what level of investment you want to make, whether financially or in yourself.
Right.
Right? Because not everybody's ready to like super jump into a high intensive program. If they're just now starting on their spiritual awakening journey or their healing journey, they're like, whoa, that's a lot. And then some people who have been deeper in their journey are like, let's go. I'm ready for the high level investment.
Right. Very good point. Like some people have the money and they're not ready energetically or mentally, and others are ready and they're like, okay, how can I make this happen? And that's why I like to invite and lean back, right? If you have questions, I will absolutely answer them. And that's super helpful for me because I'm like, ooh, this is a good question. I should probably cover it on my website, on my sales page, in an email, or in an FAQ section. So like, what can you learn from all the things that are being thrown your way. Not that each one has to have a lesson, but I've been really looking at how people are selling to me and taking what I like and leaving the
Yeah.
rest.
Yeah. I love too, wherever you're at on your journey is great. And we love that. And the funnel that you create just shows people like, hey, whatever your step you're on here, great. Here's the next one after that. And it
Yep.
just has a very clear page of these are all the ways that you can work with me at different levels. It makes it very easy for people.
Right.
It takes a lot of pressure off and a lot of confusion.
Yes. And people are afraid, some of my clients and myself included, are afraid to repeat themselves. We are inundated with so much information and so much noise and visual distractions. We need to see things 10, 12, 20 times before we're like, oh, that's the girl. She does the thing, right? I mean, we can't even articulate her name or what she does, but they're like, oh, I remember we have all the videos on TikTok. We have so many different platforms. I mean, when I was in high school, I didn't even have a cell phone. We had a payphone and a beeper. So it's just fascinating. And when I was in the Smile and Dial era, I was told you have to get 12 no's before you get a yes. And I was like, cool, the game. So everybody that said no, thank you, I thanked them back. And they're like, why are you thanking me? You're getting me closer to my next yes. Do you have anyone else that might want to say no? And some of them, and like some of them stopped and they were like, okay, well, what's your name again? And where are you calling from? And like sometimes I get meetings out of that, or I just made them laugh and that was all it was, and they might call me back in 3 weeks or a month. And some of my biggest contracts came from me just having fun on sales calls.
I think it does take a little while for people to identify you as the thing. Like it took a long time for me to be identified as the inner child healer, or like for yourself, like the spiritual marketing queen. Okay. And so going back to kind of like that sales funnel, it's like, oh, you're going to see me over and over and over again. And then you start to identify with like, oh, if I need help with this is the person that I go see. But in a way that doesn't like super pressure you. If like, oh, if you don't buy with me, then you're not going to be healed, or you're not going to be able to do these things in your business. Nope, I'm just an additional resource for you if you need.
Right. You're the decision maker, right? You're the end all. You get to say yes or no. So
that's beautiful. Yeah. So with this program, how would you know if it is right for you, and who is it for?
Excellent questions. So healers, light workers, spiritual business owners, coaches, or course creators, that's the intention. But honestly, any person that's selling a service and in the digital space, this will serve. We do focus on a lot of the woo and the spiritual side of things. So there's the serum. So that's where I'm like, this is who I designed it for. I'm not excluding people, but this is what's going to happen.
Yeah. Because energetics of your business, that's for everybody. It doesn't matter if we were not. Like, you need to understand the energetics of your business. Yeah.
Yes. If you're asking the question, you're probably ready for it.
Yeah. Yeah, is this for me? Yeah, probably.
Yeah. If you're, I've seen several comments like, oh, I like marketing, or I don't like sales, or I don't know what to say. This is for you. Right. And a lot of us don't know and weren't taught or didn't come from sales or marketing. Like, I was taught sales and marketing. My bosses invested in me and sent me to like sales camps, and we'd role play, and I was like dripping in sweat, and people were passing Post-its while we were on the phone, and like we were in a bullpen, and it was very aggressive. I don't want to go back. I'm thankful for the lessons I learned, but I filtered that down into a much more fun, feel good, magical sauce, if you will. So whether I would say, startup for 1 to 3 years, you could be in the middle, you could be relaunching. Like, this will help you regardless of what stage of your business you are in. And these are skills that will be with you for life. So this isn't a course where you go through it and you're like, oh, okay, and then you put it on the back burner. And maybe you do, but in order for your business to thrive, you need to be selling. It's your business. If you're an entrepreneur, most of us are solopreneurs. So if we don't sell, sales don't happen. If we don't ask or invite or, put ourselves and our offers out there, most likely we won't grow. So if you have a side hobby and you're comfortable with this being a passion project, this probably isn't for you. But if you are looking to grow and take your business to the next level, expand, reach more of those beautiful soul aligned clients you're meant to serve, this is for you.
Yeah, I love that. So it's more about falling in love with selling and falling in love with yourself, because then it's easy to sell.
Yes.
Yes.
A lot of self-love work in there,
Oh
which
yeah,
I'm going
yeah.
through again.
So I'm gonna toot your horn in your program really quick. Okay, so I personally went through all of Kiki's program. Okay, Storytelling Magic. We went line by line through the whole entire program, and I will say that it is one of the most comprehensive programs that I have seen. It is not only 3D tangible business things that you need to know, but it is how to love yourself, how to have fun in your business, how to make marketing enjoyable, how to make selling very easy, right? And in a structure framework that is extremely easy to follow. And while I was looking, I was like, oh, I'm learning so many things just by going line through line with these with Kiki that I'm going to implement into my business as well. And I am taking your program.
Yes, you
I'm
are.
very excited. It's going to be great. I'm very excited to learn all of the new things. And even if these are things that you already have in mind, like you already know some of these things, it's great to have cheerleaders. It's great to have people around you that are high vibe and supportive and that you can communicate with and ask questions and throw around ideas and just have this soul tribe around you. Like that in and of itself is worth it. Everybody needs cheerleaders.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. And I love like the case study part and hearing where other people are in their business, but yet we are all going through the same things in a
Mm-hmm.
similar way. The live coaching aspect
Yeah.
each week, I'm really excited about. And because I've always loved that one-on-one aspect or a small group where I feel seen and heard and I get my questions answered. And there's also Voxer support, which is a walkie-talkie service. So in between calls,
On your
we
phone,
can
not actual walkie talkies.
correct. Yeah, it's an app on the phone. Thank you.
I'm like, oh, maybe not everybody knows what Voxer is.
Yeah, that's a good point. Go back to the Goonies.
Yeah.
Goonies never die. No. That's awesome. So yeah, I wanted to create something where it had everything that I have liked from programs that I had
Yeah.
taken before, and that live element, and also that in between communication has been key. And then you get group support. So it's almost like a mini mind mastermind because other people can give feedback, the cheerleaders, and you're getting more perspectives than just my own. You're still tapping into you and your inner knowing, but coming with an open mind versus, okay, I might know all this already, and just let's see if this is a new perspective. What I've tried before hasn't necessarily gotten me the results that I really want. Maybe this can unlock some things that the other programs or coaches I've worked with haven't.
I think part of that too is what makes your program so different is because it's through a spiritual lens. Because it's one thing to learn about marketing. Excuse me. One thing to learn about marketing, and it can be boring AF and very overwhelming. Okay, and just like, but if I'm around other healers and coaches, and somebody is leading me that is a healer and coach and saying like, "Hey, this is actually how you do marketing in a fun spiritual way," I'm gonna listen and I'm going to integrate that because that is what resonates with my soul.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, where can everybody find you and find this program to sign up for? And when is your program launching?
Yes, so program starts the 23rd of January. Tuesday nights are our call. They'll all be recorded, and you can find me Instagram and Facebook. I'm Kiki Tyler. You can shoot me a DM, voice note. I'm relax at kikityler.com if you want to send me an email, if that's your jam. And the link is in my profile to read more about the program and to sign up. We would love to have you join us. Sage is going to be there. I have a few
Yeah.
other souls. So I am loving the energy of this first group of people that are going through it. And you're a founding member. So you get to help me build it and co-create it at the same time because you're going to have questions and things that I probably haven't thought to include. So I would love to have your input and your energy join
That's
us.
going to be super fun. I'm so excited to learn all the new marketing things and to implement into my business as well.
I'm excited to share them.
Yes. Okay, everybody. Does anybody have any questions before we finish up here in the comments? Or we'd love to hear what your biggest takeaway was today. If you learned anything new, let us know below. And I'm going to check here and see if we got anything. I definitely like the 3 steps of getting ready because it sounds like it feels better and more relaxed. Yes.
Yes.
And more chill before you start in the content creation.
Yeah. Yeah. Moving away from chaos energy where it's like, I have to do it. No.
Yeah.
I get to do it and it's going to be done on my terms.
I've tried Wix and everything. It's nerve-wracking, so I switched to Facebook blog group page. Yeah, that's something I would tell younger self, younger me as well. Like, girl, stop worrying about that website and get clear on your marketing and what you're helping people with, and throw something up on Calendly or Acuity, and that's gonna take you a lot further
Yeah.
than a
Yeah.
website. Yeah. I needed the reminder of setting the stage for creating content. Beautiful.
Love that.
Yeah, I'm glad that y'all have some great takeaways today.
Yeah.
Yes, Kiki's a great teacher.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, everybody, we will see you later. Thank you so much, Kiki, for joining me today. And I'm excited to join your program.
I'm excited to have you. Thank you for having me. Have a beautiful day.
Bye.